Hey guys, what's up? This is kind of a special episode. I'm going to go over a big overview of my layout and my upcoming operating session. So I know I have some new subscribers, so I figured I'd show you guys what I've been getting done and how this layout works. So we're going to start off with the dimensions. So this wall to this wall is 10 feet wide. That back wall there to where this wall ends, which is about here, is 9 feet. So that's about 90 square feet. And then that box you see in there is about 4 feet wide by 3 feet deep. And then there's that little triangle. So it's a little less than 12 square feet. If you can see the fascia right there, that little lip, from there, the whole way across to that wall is 22 feet. It's actually 23 feet, but there's a 1 foot gap in the back that I use to be able to reach some of these cars in case they derail. From this part of the fascia board to the wall is 5 feet in width, or in depth, however you want to say that. I guess that would be depth, because I'm doing width this way. So from this fascia board to this area is 2.5 feet in depth. And then if we go over here, it is 2.5 feet from the front here to that back stud there. And then from this corner to this ridge line here where the homosote meets the other piece of homosote is 5.5 feet. And then the lower level staging goes back to a switch right here, and the upper level staging does the same here. Behind that is a 3 foot section on the lower and upper level of staging that goes behind the cold air return. I store some engines there, and it gives me a little bit of extra room in case I want to run longer trains into staging. This is the South Fork coal mine. It sits above the Juniata Works, which is here, or Altoona Works. I forget when they switched from Juniata to Altoona. That's the turntable. That's the, Altoona Works is what I have it listed as right now. This is downtown Altoona. This is Crescent up here. All this stuff you see up here does not belong here. I'm just using it for storage. This is the Altoona Yard, which for my layout is pretty famous because this is where everything happens. That, as if I even need to explain, is Horseshoe Curve. And this is Tyrone. So the best way to explain this is it is a continuous run loop that can operate point to point. So I'll show you how it runs and I'll explain how exactly it works. If you go from upper level staging, which is west of Altoona, west of Crescent, which would be Pittsburgh, Chicago, areas like that, and you come out, you go along this back wall into the Gallitzin tunnels, and the Gallitzin tunnels, I'm actually borrowing an idea from Wilmer of Indian Head Valley Railroad, where he takes, I believe it's foam, and he carves bricks into them, because I believe that was made out of bricks. So I'm stealing that from you, Wilmer. You go into Gallitzin tunnels, then you come down this bi-directional track, which is the middle track where the F3s are sitting. Come down through Horseshoe Curve, which is a mini helix. You'll come into the yard, and if you're doing an operating session, you'll switch out some cars. You'll pull into this track, which is the arrival departure track. You'll drop off your cars on the first track here, and then you'll pick up some tracks, You'll pick up some cars that are headed east to Harrisburg, Philadelphia, anything on the lower level staging. You'll come along through here, right where this coal train is with the H21A hoppers. You'll go along this back wall. You'll come out over here in Tyrone. You go through the Tyrone station, past the paper mill, back basically the way you came over to staging. lower level staging, which is for, like I said, Harrisburg and Philadelphia. So if you want to go lower level to upper level, come out of staging, go around, you go through this loop, just like this F7 consist is doing currently. You go over the Juniata River there, where the bridge is, where the Juniata River will be once I finish it. Go along the wall, you'll come around, come into the arrival departure tracks, drop off your cars on this first track, of course. You'll pick up your cars that are westbound, and then you will ascend the semi-helix. Once you get to the top of the semi-helix, you go into the Glitzen tunnels, which again I'm using from Wilmer. I'm using his idea for it. Come out the back, and you'll go to upper level staging, which goes along the back wall. So it's kind of a quick rundown of how I do long haul operations. The way this layout is designed is there's a loop at each end, Crescent and Tyrone, and I'm going to be putting in some auto reversing loops for the crossovers, which are there and there, so that I do not have to worry about shorts. The reason why is because this is one giant dog bone with the middles connect. The middles are very close together, so anytime you cross from one side to the other, it creates a short, and you need a auto reverser. That happens here in the back, and here in the back up top, which you might be able to see. Here is the Altoona local, which does not require an auto reverser. The reason for that is underneath these coal cars here is a right-handed switch and then one of those X crossovers. So the power skips over this main line here and goes to the siding. So I don't need an auto reverser, which is really nice. In here is the scrapyard, which is there, the oil and coal delivery, which is here for the public to buy, an industry here, which I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do yet, but there will be a boxcar here. And then, excuse me, I got to shut down this train because for some reason it derailed. Of course, it can run all day, but as soon as I start recording a video, it derails. So anyways, there'll be an industry here with a boxcar there, and then there will be a tiny little lumber mill there, which will store a boxcar. The way this will work is you will pull a train in, you will back the gondolas down there to the scrapyard, drop off them, you'll pull up, and you'll go over the switch, and you'll back down the coal car and tank car, or two coal cars, whatever the order is. You'll drop them off there. You'll come back up, back down. Actually, I'm sorry. You will go down this switch, and you will push one boxcar there, and you'll keep the other boxcar connected, and you'll drop it off here, and you'll go on your way and back to the yard. So it's a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle in order to get it correct and to do the switching. And it's nice because it takes a while. It takes a good 5 minutes or so, maybe even 10, if the person's not familiar with it. So it kind of feels like real railroading where it takes a while. In Altoona, you also have the power plant here and the Altoona Pipe and Steel there. The Altoona Pipe and Steel takes gondolas, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You load them with pipe and steel, then you sort them in the yard for them to go on their way. I am going to get another power plant and put it in here. I'll have to move that down a little bit. And then down here is the Juniata Works, which there is the shop building there. In front of it is a track that will be for machine parts going into the shops, and maybe some steel coil cars, and then coming out will be box cars full of broken machine parts. I also have a turntable, and I have an area where I'm going to deliver some diesel filled tank cars, some tank cars that are filled with diesel fuel that you'll drop around here, maybe a gondola full of sand or a covered hopper full of sand for the sand domes here. I still have to figure this area out. So that's it for the Altoona locals. The Tyrone local is the paper mill there, and I actually have a little station sign here. This is This is Tyrone Station. This is Hillcrest. This is where my dad grew up, and that house is almost identical to the house he grew up in. I'm still working on that area. That's my Jeep 9. Got to put a decoder in all my other engines. This is the paper mill. I'm not sure if this building will stay or not. Those are some of my car cards. This track here is for loading box cars full of paper, and each box car will have a different destination, so that you have to switch it out in the yard. The second track is going to store tank cars that will be this is kind of a ready track or an on deck track. This is the tank car track here, which is empty. Because I have all the freight cars kind of pushed away right now so I can work on stuff. So you have about 2 tank cars here, and you have 2 or 3 ready to go here. And when you do a local, you'll pick up the box cars, you'll take these empty tank cars out, you'll move a couple over from here to here. This is a wood chip hopper. You will take the wood chips out. I think they're scrap. I'm not sure if I want to be taking wood chips out or taking wood chips in just yet. Then again, we have a little bit of a runaround here, which is necessary because this is the Tyrone Quarry. This track is for loading covered hoppers full of lime, and this is for loading open top hoppers for limestone and gondolas for sand. And then back there is the Tyrone Depot. You can basically unload anything there. A coal car full of coal for the public to buy, tank cars, box cars full of bagged cement. You also will drop off a couple coal cars here to power the paper mill. And I think even today in 2019, it's still powered by coal. You will also drop off coal cars here to the power plant, and you'll drop off some to the cooling tower there. I know I'm kind of skipping around on how my layout's working. That is South Fork Coal Mine. You will you will connect all the coal cars, take it down through Horseshoe Curve into Altoona. And then that's when you break it apart and you put some here, you take some to Tyrone, and so on and so forth. And to go back to the way the layout operates, this is the mini helix, and the reason why it's a continuous loop where I have to have crossovers and I have to reverse the power is due to the fact I did not want to have to put in another mini helix. So when I just want to run trains, I can start a train in Tyrone. It'll go around. It'll go up through Horseshoe Curve, come around. It'll go back down Horseshoe Curve on the inside track, come the whole way around back into Tyrone, all by itself. So it'll look like it's going somewhere and coming back from that area, which is kind of a nice thing, so that when I just want to sit back and run trains, I can do that, and it feels like it's actually going somewhere rather than just going in circles. And then obviously when I operate trains, you go from lower staging to upper staging to lower staging, and you run the coal mine. So that should just about cover the overview, the dimensions, the towns. I guess I'll go into the build date now real fast. So this 10 by 9 area, 10 feet wide, 9 feet deep, was built in February of 2009, and there was an original layout to it, which is in some of my first videos. What ended up happening is we added all this. We extended the platform to the edge where it is now, and if you can see, it ended right about here at one point, and I actually used to have the yard right in through here. Ended about here, and it was finished the whole way to the wall there and along here. In 2017, we extended it. In summer of 2018, I got the itch to tear everything down and restart. Tore all the track out. All that was left was the bench work. I did not have this section done, just this section over. I think it was November 1st or November 2nd of 2018, so a year and a month ago, I finalized my layout plan. And the way the layout plan started is I got Tyrone done first. Tyrone was done by Thanksgiving 2018. Worked my way on the lower level around, connected it into Altoona. I've actually redone Altoona twice now, I believe, the Altoona yard area. And that was finalized in, I want to say, February of 2019. Horseshoe Curve was also almost done in February of 2019 in terms of track laying. We got the upper level done in April 2019, and the coal mine and the lower level staging, along with the lower level Juniata shops and the upper level and the little tails at the end, were all done in October of 2019, literally days before my first operating session. Horseshoe Curve was done in November in terms of the plaster cloth. Same thing with the ballast. It was started in November, finished last night, basically. Let's see what else. Now let's do future plans. Future plans. After my operating session this Saturday, I would like to finish ballast. I want to get the mainline ballasted over to here. I want to get the yard finished ballast. I want to finish ballasting the yard. Also got to do all over there. This is fine cinders ballast. And if you use it, the one thing you got to make sure is you got to be very careful of switches. These switches are hand throws. They are, I think, spring switches they're called. I got the idea on Derek Glass's channel. Basically, so if you look, they just snap back and forth. So it applies pressure to the rail, this rail, and when you snap it back, it applies pressure to the inside rail. That was very helpful. I didn't really want ground throws. Also couldn't fit ground throws in some of the areas. And this gives kind of a more prototypical look to the yard. So that was really nice. Another upcoming video, or not, well, yeah, it'll be an upcoming video. I'm going to finish the Tyrone Hillcrest area, finish downtown Tyrone, which I have the buildings for, finish ballasting. And Horseshoe Curve is going to be 100% done sometime in the next couple months. I have everything to do it. It won't take too long. I just got to get down to doing it. I think that kind of does it for my upcoming videos, because after that, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. I guess I'll give you an idea of how my car cards work. So my car cards, these are not finished, at least the white paper. The car cards are. So it says the car type, car number, and then it has the number there. The white part of this is going to say what it's loaded with, where it's loaded at, so you know where it's coming from, what direction it's headed, and its destination. So as you can see, this one's loaded with paper at the Tyrone paper mill and a box car. The route, I'm going to eliminate that. Everything goes to Altoona Yard. And then spot is Pittsburgh. So the way this works is I still have to do some of the numbers. This is track one. Is that right? Yeah, this is track one. Track one is the runaround track. This is usually kept free. Track two is destined for Pittsburgh. Track three, I think, is Chicago. And track four, I'm still working on. It might be Chicago. Track four is this track. Track 5, 6, and 7 are eastbound. So that's Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Philadelphia, and another one. What am I up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 8 and 9 are locals, these two tracks. This is track 10, which is for the power plant, and track 11 is for Altoona Pipe and Steel. So when a local comes in from Tyrone, like I described earlier, all the cars you pick up in Tyrone, you drop them off on track 1 usually, which is the runaround, which is where all the drops get dropped off. And then you look at the cards. So if it's Pittsburgh, goes track 2. Philadelphia track 6, and so on and so forth. These 3 tracks are westbound classification. These 3 are eastbound. These 2 are locals. And this one is mainly just for coal cars for the power plant that's coming from South Fork. And this one is for Altoona Pipe and Steel. So that's a little bit of a quick rundown on how my car cards work. This is for the depot, which is here. And then over in Tyrone, I have more. So this is track 2. I don't have a track 1. Track 1's usually kept free. Track 2 will be tank cars. Track 3 is box cars. Track 4 is more tank cars. Track 5 is coal cars and wood chip hoppers. Kind of self-explanatory. And let me see. Let me think about what else I have to explain. Oh, for my operating session. So, for anyone who plans on doing an operating session, the big key is getting trains out of staging and into staging and having people have something to do so you're not running around constantly. So, the way my staging works is there's only 2 tracks. They're both usually free so that a train can come in, the engine can uncouple, use the switch to do a runaround, and go to the fueling facilities. But I like to have multiple locals. I'll have a local in Tyrone so that'll eat up a good half hour of someone's time, so I don't have to worry about figuring out where cars are going. I also I believe, if I remember correctly, it takes about 5.5 minutes nonstop running to go from one staging to the other. And then when you factor in people stopping in the yard and switching out it probably takes a good 7, 8, 9, sometimes even 10 minutes. I got a yard master who controls the yard. I usually always have 1 local running, 2 long haul freights. That's 4. Me, 5. Usually a couple people who are just like watching. That's about 6 or 7. And then another guy who maybe he's in charge of helpers. Because up in Crescent, I'm going to have a helper district where the helpers can refuel. I have actually synced up some of the Jeeps over here. I think one of them, because the other 2 are consisted or will be. And I can actually have a helper on the back end and run it up Horseshoe Curve and back down and not have to worry about it derailing or anything. They work really well. So I'll have another person in charge of helpers and maybe taking care of the engine facilities and moving cars around. And I got a couple cars that move around here and here over in Tyrone. So there's a lot of little jobs I can do for people. And that's the best thing, is to keep people busy, because when you keep people busy, you don't have as much to do, because I have to move cars around over here in staging to have cars like come from Pittsburgh on the upper level down to the lower level and vice versa. So I have to take some cars off, put some cars on, because my staging yard isn't real big. So hopefully that kind of gave you guys a nice overview of my layout. I got this area that I'm working on, a couple other areas, yards coming together, and there's a lot of stuff I'm working on. So hopefully I'll have a lot of videos coming up. So I hope you guys enjoy. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.